I'm joined now by the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Robert Garcia. Congressman, today is the day that we have been waiting for quite a long time. It is the deadline. Well, the deadline was a couple of days ago, but this is the day that the Justice Department has returned the first tranche of files in the Epstein file. So first and foremost, top line, in your preliminary overview of what you've gotten, what should we know about the files that you have received?
Yeah, what we have so far essentially is 33,000 pages of the Epstein files. Of course, we would not even have this had Democrats not forced that vote from Republicans. They've never wanted to release this. Our team right now, we've got an incredible team at Oversight, is going through all 33,000 pages. So it's going to take some time and a few days to kind of digest everything that's in there. What's really important for folks to know is, of course, is that they're releasing this in batches. So we don't know what percent, what the total number of pages DOJ actually has. But you can rest assured that they are certainly going to try to manipulate what they release, when they release it, and how they choose to present it to us. And so all of that is going to come out in the days and weeks ahead. But we're glad we have this first batch. And our intention is to ensure that we get as much of the information while protecting the victims that are in these documents to the American public.
In the beginning stages of what you've seen from these documents, is there anything that stands out to you?
Right now, so far, what we've seen is a lot of information that is in the public sphere already. And so they've put out a lot of information that the public might already know, court transcripts, other types of transcripts that have been maybe reported previously. There is some new information in there that we are reviewing right now. But we also have to be very careful that we are, of course, protecting the victims, the girls, the women that were trafficked. And so we're being very careful about that. We do hope that in the days ahead, we'll be able to get that information out to the public, because we know that at the end of the day, James Comer and Donald Trump did not want these documents released. So getting them out there is going to be very important.
Is there anything you've seen with regard to redactions that's caught the eye of the team that's scrubbing through all these files right now?
Nothing yet, because most of what we have seen so far is information that is already publicly available. And so that does not to say that what we have isn't going to cause some concern. It's so early. We just got the files a few hours ago. We are definitely going to need a few days to go through it. And one thing that we're going to do is we're doing a quick review, and then we're going to go back to page one of those 33,000 pages and comb through this entire first batch. So there is an enormous amount of work ahead for the committee and for the team.
I want to read, and I'm going to put it right up here on this screen, an excerpt from a conversation between Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell. She said, "I never witnessed the president in any appropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects." So first and foremost, your reaction to what very much seems like exactly what we thought was going to play out, which is, Donald Trump goes over to Ghislaine Maxwell, sends Todd Blanche over to Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell gives some statement that very clearly absolves Donald Trump of any and all wrongdoing. She is duly moved from a high security prison in Florida to a low security prison out in Texas. And lo and behold, this is very much in line with the statement that we just got right here.
Of course. I mean, look, let's be very clear. Ghislaine Maxwell is a convicted sex trafficker and a liar. She cannot be trusted. This is someone that trafficked young girls and women and essentially sent them to be traumatized, raped, and abused by powerful men and Jeffrey Epstein. And so nothing this woman says should be taken seriously by those of us that are trying to get to the truth. And I think it's also important that Todd Blanche was Donald Trump's personal lawyer before he became deputy AG. And so his arranging of this deposition, them moving her to a less secure facility, we're not going to be tricked by this. There's clearly an agenda here, but we have to keep reminding the public who this woman is. She is a monster. She is someone that caused enormous harm. And so her view of Donald Trump should not impact ours at all. The other thing that she says in these released interviews that is bizarre and troubling is she takes essentially no responsibility for actually the abuse and trafficking of young women. She basically says, oh, well, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't involved in any of the trafficking. That's a lie. We have victims, we have witnesses, we have women that have come forward that have told their stories about Ghislaine Maxwell personally, essentially taking them, abusing them, trafficking them, and in some cases doing the abuse herself. And so that is who this person is, and who the Trump Department of Justice is now somehow lionizing and moving to a better facility.
And that's what I want to dig into here. This idea that Donald Trump swept into office and surrounded himself with people for whom accountability for those responsible for committing these heinous crimes was paramount. And now, far from getting that accountability, they are in fact entrenching the very system, helping the very people who are responsible for perpetuating and committing these crimes. And so, in light of what we're seeing right now play out in real time, in slow motion, basically, what's your message to Trump's audience, who basically were the victims of this campaign, this disinformation campaign put forward expressly to manipulate these people for their votes with no intention of following through?
Look, if you supported Donald Trump, you were betrayed. And even if this was a topic that was of interest, or you followed the Epstein case, he has lied and betrayed his supporters and the American public. And for all those folks where this was important, I mean, I've heard from some of them. They were told time and time again by Donald Trump, by Kash Patel, by his entire crew of his entire MAGA supporters, the cabinet, all those folks. They said they were going to release the full files. Pam Bondi, the AG, said the files were on her desk.
Yeah.
If they're on your desk, release the files to the public. Why are we getting it in batches? Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have the power right now to get the public the full unredacted files. They can send it to the committee. We can get it to the public. We can get justice for these victims. This is a White House cover-up. The Donald Trump cover-up of the Epstein files is ongoing, and everyone should be focused on getting the truth.
Yeah, that was perfectly put. Can I have your reaction to the fact that it looks like the White House or the DOJ is layering on top of Dan Bongino another deputy FBI director, which is, by the way, not customary that there would be two deputy FBI directors. This comes in light of some other reporting that suggests that Dan Bongino is unhappy with the way that this White House has comported itself as it relates to the Epstein files. I wonder why. And so just your general reaction to the unorthodox nature of layering the deputy FBI director, and just beyond that, the broader response to what we've seen from Dan Bongino, who's one of those people I was speaking about, came into office, into this position promising one thing, and now is involved in the very cover-up that kind of flies in the face of exactly what he promised.
I mean, reports that we're hearing is, of course, that Dan Bongino is very unhappy as it relates to what's happening, right? Look, first of all, he was, as we know, coming into this already a conspiracy theorist. He's someone that already was saying a bunch of crazy things, but he was really focused on the Epstein files. He was one of the main advocates. And so when he got put there in place, we all thought, okay, this is a strange, unqualified pick. And since he's been there, he's clearly been seeing some things that he doesn't even like. So if Dan Bongino is having a problem with something, where we know his record and the way he thinks, there are some real serious issues, lies, cover-ups happening at the FBI and at the White House over the Epstein files. So we've got to get to the truth. Republicans should join us. We want to get folks like Alex Acosta to actually be deposed in front of Congress. This is someone that knows more about the Epstein files and about Jeffrey Epstein than maybe any other living person on the planet.
Yeah.
Alex Acosta, we need to hear from him. And so we're going to continue to push, a lot of files to go through, and clearly there'll be a lot more on its way.
Let's finish off with this. As we look forward toward 2026, obviously a lot can happen between now and then, but what would you in the House Oversight Committee, if you're chairman of that committee, what would you be able to do if Democrats had a majority as it relates to the Epstein investigation that you're not able to do right now? I know you had just mentioned Alexander Acosta. Just give us a broader sense of what it means for those people who do want justice for the victims of Epstein's crime, what it would mean if Democrats are able to take control of the House.
It means Pam Bondi in front of Congress. It means getting every document that we want out of the FBI. It means being able to actually probe any part of this case, of the crimes that we want, from not just the government, but from those foundations, others that may have information. And so if we're going to solve this entire case and actually bring true justice, we're going to need to ensure that we have the tools to do so. And so right now we're doing everything we can. We're limited with the Republican majority. My hope is that whatever that we can get the information out, but we're not going to know the scope of this cover up until we get this full batches of files, see how complete or incomplete it is. And most importantly, if the client list is not in these files, if there are redactions of certain names, that is going to cause huge alarm. And then we know that for sure they're hiding something.
Well, look, you deserve credit for on two fronts here. One is that you've stayed on top of the Epstein list scandal that Republicans have completely seeded, not just seeded, but in fact helped Donald Trump with the cover-up. You've got Mike Johnson sending everybody home so that they can't get this Epstein list released. So thank you for staying on top of this. And also on just like a kind of a different, and also just kind of on a different battleground here, folks who are watching right now should know that you took on a lot of red area in the redistricting fight that's happening right now, and you deserve a lot of credit because you're going to be running in a district that's much more difficult than the district that you won in 2024 as we head toward 2026. You've sacrificed a lot in terms of making this broader map better for the left, and so you deserve a lot of credit there because, look, it's everybody in politics is generally self-interested, and so you've taken on a lot of area that's going to be pretty hostile to Democrats and the left more broadly. So just want to take this opportunity to thank you for making some sacrifices, in a job where folks aren't usually very willing to make those sacrifices. So, we appreciate that.
We have to win. So I'm happy to help. And I think actually I took on, more Republican voters than any other congressional district change in these new maps.
Yeah.
And I did it because we can win this district. I feel confident in it. And we all got to do our part to win the majority back. So,
well, perfectly put. We appreciate the sacrifice, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Congressman, appreciate your time.
Thank you.